Welcome to the Bunny's Lair. Today we're going to be loading up some cartridge casings that are brand new for fire forming the brass to my Ruger 308 Winchester rifle. Basically, I have gone through and I have used the Lee collet die to uniform the mouth of the case. And in the last video, I left out the fact that I had used Redding graphite lubricant on the mouths and necks of these pieces of brass before running them up in the collet die. And I highly recommend that you use some form of lubrication designed specifically for brass when doing this process, or you can cause damage to your brass. I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. Now these pieces of brass are the last 5 that I've got in this batch. They've all been prepped, chamfered, deburred, primer pockets have been uniformed, and we're going to take them over and we're going to go ahead and we're going to prime these. So let's go over to the primer. See if we can see what we're doing there. Basically, we're just going to throw some small rifle primers in this 308 brass, and this is small primer pocket brass. So I'm using CCI. Oh, excuse me. As I kick it 3 or 4 more times. We're using CCI small rifle magnum primers. These are the 450s, and these seem to do very well in igniting large charges in the 308 cartridge when using small primers. Basically, we're just going to drop the case down into the case holder, the shell holder rather, and we're going to go down to the ground to where it starts to make contact. And then I'm just using my thumb and safety goggles. And you're going to press it down till you feel it come to a hard stop. Then you're going to let up on the handle just a tiny bit so you can spin the case. And you're going to reapply pressure. And you're going to do this a couple of times, especially when the brass is brand new, because that primer pocket is awful tight. And CCI primers have a hard primer cup. So to get them to seat flush or a couple thousandths under, you really got to work at it a little bit for the first firing. And as you can see here, this primer is below flush. And that's what we want. So there's that one. Throw another one in here. Let off just a little bit. Press back down. And we're not trying to squish the primer. We're just trying to make sure it's seated flat, flush, and all the way against the bottom of the primer pocket. That way the anvil will preload its stress against the bottom of the primer pocket and against the primer cup, and that gives you really good routine ignition without light primer strikes or any of that other stuff. Of course, need to knock a couple of primers back down in there. There we go. Just use your thumb and you're pressing on it, not to break anything or crush or blow a primer, just enough to where you feel that thing stop. Give it a little quarter turn, apply a little bit more pressure to it. Quarter turn, a little bit more pressure. Now this takes a little bit, and some people might say, well, this is ridiculous. You got a primer unit that isn't pushing the primer all the way down in there. Well, you'll notice on most priming units that are benchtop or on a press itself, that this routine will get your primers seated flush and flat against the bottom of the primer pocket. Even if you're using an expensive piece of equipment to do it, this is going to make sure every time that your primers are a little bit below flush and are flat in that primer pocket, and will give good ignition to your propellant. Last but not least, and always wear your safety glasses. I've got one eye due to diabetes, and I don't need to lose any more eyesight. So always wear safety glasses when you're messing with primers, because it is a pyrotechnic, it's an explosive, and it can send shrapnel out from the primer pocket and get into your eye, and you don't want that. So now that we got those 5 primed up, we're going to come back over here to the bench, and we're going to put some powder in them, and then we're going to go over to the press and we're going to put some bullets in them. So come with me back over here, and I'll try not to make you all seasick. If so, I will have a coupon at the end of this for Dramamine. All right. Now, I'm going to take these freshly primed units, and we're going to have our powder dispenser loosen itself. Okay. We're just going to double check what was going in this cartridge case, because I like to double check everything. I'm kind of OCD like that, because I want to know what's in there. Okay, that's 40.9, and that's way over. It's 5/10 over, so I guess that thing loosening up like that when I was racking it gave me a little variable there. I guess this thing's going to mess with me this last little bit. This might be because the powder's getting low in my powder funnel. And when it does that, the pressure on the powder changes. So we're going to see if I got to add more powder to this thing so I don't get stuck here all day trying to weigh this one charge. Keep messing with these charge levels. Make sure that's going to 0. Yep, that's going to 0. This one felt right. It's a rhythm on these powder throwers, really. If you get out of rhythm or change your angle on the powder measure, 40.5, 40.6. We'll see if we can get a little bit of that out of there. .6, a tenth over, too many. I'll put a couple more little granules. There we go. We can live with that. A tenth either way, because I'm at really what I'm trying to hit is 40.4 grains of Varget, which is not extremely a hot load, but it's a little over the middle. And basically, we just fill these cartridge cases up. See if I can get one to drop. Like, of course, it waits till I get the video going, and then it starts giving me a headache. Before, every one was 40.4 or 40.5. .4. That's what I want. What I'm using here for this shell holder, this is a Lyman, and these are a solid billet aluminum. These are super nice. They make them for the 223, 300 black, 308, 30-06, and even I believe a bigger one for the larger cartridges. Like your 338 Lapuas and stuff like that. But I know the one in the middle fits 308 Winchester, and I believe 30-06 as well. There we go. Now see, she's hitting like she was before. 40.4. Teetering between 44 and 40.5. So that's a tenth over our target, and that's good. That's acceptable. Now that won't be acceptable when we're doing the match grade loads. But right here is all we're trying to do is get these cases to expand to the inside of my chamber. So to give me a more accurate case cartridge the next time I use it. .5. Good enough. Tenth of a grain over. I've gone a tenth of a grain over on match ammunition and never had an issue in velocity. I had no huge velocity changes or anything like that. .5. And when you're doing this, you're pouring powder into a case and then dumping it to weigh it. You want to look down inside that case and make sure there's none stuck in the flash hole or anything like that, so that you're getting a true reading. Not that a grain or two is going to make that big of a difference, but you try to keep consistent wherever you can. Okay, so now we've got these 5 loaded with powder. Now we're going to go put bullets in them. Grab these Hornadies. I'll bring you guys back over here. Watch that. Boop, 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 boop. Gotta be able to get you in here so you can see what's going on and I can actually work. Alright, you should be able to see that. And just drop the bullet down in there as straight as you possibly can get it. Put it in your press. And I'm using a Reading competition seating die. And its actual shell stem that's inside it fits this cartridge casing very well. So basically what I do is I run it up in there and I get it started just a little tiny bit, and then I back it off, grab the brass, and I spin it about a half a turn. And what that is encouraging is that you get good concentricity. Even though this press's die will move in and out and the shell holder will move left and right, I've found that spinning the cartridge case a little bit after first seating the bullet into it and then continuing the seat gets you a much more concentric bullet seat. There's that one. And all of these are going to 2.825. Just a little bit under max length for my magazine length. I'm using P-Mags in my Ruger Precision Rifle, and that P-Mag for the 308 cartridge or the 7.62 by 51 NATO has got a max overall length inside of it at 2.830, and I like to stay a little under that. So we're going at 2.825, right around in there. Just to make sure we get positive movement of the cartridge case inside the magazine when feeding. Nothing worse than have a round hang up inside a magazine when you're trying to get another round off. Drive you nuts. Almost like this bullet's trying to make me go a little insane here by staying cattywampus. But when you're seating match ammunition and you're counting on thousandths of an inch, it's good to have a really good seating die. And these Redding seating dies, for the money, they do cost a little bit of money. But if you're going to get serious about it in particular cartridge, in my opinion, there may be only one on the market that's better. It's holding that bullet tight. You can hear it pop loose off that bullet when I am backing the shell plate down, letting me know that it had a good fit. It really holds this bullet well. It was actually designed, the shell holder that actually pushes the shell down into the case was actually designed for a 168 grain Sierra Match King, according to the fellas at Redding. And I got this die specifically for that cartridge, that bullet, because I load so many Sierra Match Kings in 308. Okay. There we go. We just did 5 cartridges, which, including the dummy, that's 50 we did. And we'll check these to make sure they're not over max length. Bring you back over here. Get a quick couple measurements on these. Let's see what we got. Okay, I'm getting 2.821. I can get this case to sit on this caliper. This is where eyesight really. 2.821. It's identical. 2.820. So that was a thousandth short. But that can be caused by the bullet itself. You're going to get variations in your ogi from bullet to bullet with these non-match grade bullets, and they'll cause your seating depths to be off. See, this one's 2.822. This one is a thousandth over what the other two were. .821. So we got a pretty good batch there. Just a couple thousandths here and there, which isn't anything to lose sleep over. But that's how I do it. If you guys have any questions on the equipment I'm using or anything like that, please leave them in the comments section, and I'll do my best to get back to you and answer you on anything. If you have any other questions on reloading tips or tricks or anything like that, or have any questions in general, just let me know. Thanks, and you guys have a great day.